Hi, let's chat about deadlifting form, what to keep an eye on, how to do it. We're going to keep it pretty simple. There's a lot of different things you could think about, but let's go with the basics. So first off, a deadlift is a hip hinge. So you're closing this angle between your torso and your thighs, like so. That exact angle is going to depend on your height and your proportions. But ideally, you're kind of getting almost a mirror image between these two angles here. Okay, so you could split it like this. Now you're going to come down to the bar, feet about hip width apart, and your hands are going to grasp the bar just outside your legs, like this. Hips are back, and you're going to come straight up, keeping the bar close to your body, straight back down. From this angle, about hip width apart, coming down, knees staying in line with the hips and the feet, hands just outside the lower legs, up, back down. I like to do it with control initially, not worry about too much speed, just lower it with control, bring it up with control. Now, two big things I want you to focus on is tension through the shoulders and shoulder blades, and tension in your hamstrings and your glutes. So when you come down, a lot of people will end up kind of bending like this and they'll yank up. We don't want that to happen. We want to find tension. So what I like to do is grip tightly, tension in the shoulders. So I'm drawing my shoulders down. I'm imagining I'm almost bending the bar. So that's going to naturally create tension like that. Then I'm going to push my butt back and drop down a little bit until I feel tension through my hamstrings and glutes. So tension in the shoulders, tension in the hamstrings and glutes. Use those hamstrings and glutes to drive up and forward and come back down. Boom. Just like that. And when we're performing this, as I briefly mentioned, we want to keep that bar as close to our body as we can, so it's coming right up our shins, and on the way down, we're pushing our butt back, bringing it down the body, but keeping that tension in the shoulders and here as well. Over time, you can practice different setups with your feet, with your arms. You can practice doing it quickly or super slowly. But initially, just get a feel for this type of movement first and make sure that you can do it with tension, with good focus, and in a way that feels good to you. The trap bar or hex bar is another great option for deadlifts. It's going to be very similar. The movement, the hip hinge, is very similar to the barbell. One of the big differences is that that bar isn't out in front of you, so you don't have to get your body out of the way, and the weight can be distributed a little bit more back, so it's a little bit less stress on the back for most people. It's also a little bit easier to learn. So for this one, now I'm using the high bars here. I'm gripping tight. I like to actively use my shoulders and back to pull the weight back a little bit, really get tension in my hamstrings and glutes, and then up and then down. Okay, so that top end point is the same. Bottom end point on this is a little bit different because the handles are high, but you can flip this and use the low bar as well. So for taller athletes, athletes with longer femurs, or who just don't have great hamstring or hip flexion mobility, your form, your shape might be a little bit different, and that's totally okay as long as it feels okay for you. So with a taller athlete, longer femurs, you might have more knee bend. You might have a little bit more bend like this. Maybe your angle's here versus here for a shorter athlete. So you can find a position that works for you. You can use a high bar, which will allow you to come up a little higher. You can use a barbell off of risers. But remember, there's no one picture perfect form that's going to work exactly the same for everybody.